All right, everyone. 16 personalities. No matter what personality type you are, I want to ask you a question. Are you ready to kill your heroes? Now, that might seem like a strange question, so let me explain what I mean. In one construct or concept of personality type theory, your lead function, your very first function, is called your hero. Objective personality calls it your savior, although they use two of your functions. They say that you have two functions that are saviors. But it's really that first function that I'm focusing on. So whether you want to call it one of your two saviors, and we would call it your most dominant savior, or whether you want to call it your hero, the point is, it is your lead function. Now, why would you want to kill your lead function? Why would you want to kill your hero? Well, kill is a strong term, but in a sense, there is a degree to which we need to learn to put to death our hero function. Why? We need to put to death, or at least mortally wound, our hero function for two reasons. One, so that our inferior function can rise and become everything that it has the capability of being, because our hero function holds it down. The more we use our hero function, the less we use our inferior function. The more we focus on trying to solve all of our problems with the lead function, the more that we fail to allow the inferior function to rise up and do for us what it is actually capable of doing. And by the way, what we need it to do. And we also are imbalanced. We effectively worship the hero. We worship the hero function to the degree that we believe that it is the primary tool that we must use in all of our battles. And unfortunately, what happens is we are so imbalanced that we are actually doing ourselves more harm than good. So let me explain in more concrete terms what I'm talking about. I'm going to use myself first. I'm an ISFP, so my hero function or my lead function or my most dominant savior function is FI, Introverted Feeling. It's that function that I use to judge how do I feel? How do I feel about these things? Do I like these things? Do I dislike these things? How do I view myself? Usually it is it is always a self-focused function, but it usually comes out in, okay, I know who I am, I know what I'm all about, and what I'm all about is what really matters, okay? So I just need to show everyone else what I'm all about, and they'll see how important and how wonderful and how fantastic I am and how much I have to offer, because I can see for myself, with my introverted feeling, that I'm very valuable. And so I just need to show that to everyone else, not because I need them to tell me that I'm great, but because I want them to recognize the greatness that I know that I bring to the table. The inferior function, therefore, if my hero function is FI, then my inferior function is TE, extroverted thinking. Extroverted thinking is the function that actually gets stuff done. It's the function that people use to go out into reality and say, okay, here's a problem, I need to solve it. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and boom, problem will be solved. Now, here is how this horrible imbalance has played out in my life. My FI worship, my introverted feeling worship, at the expense of suppressing my extroverted thinking, has come out like this. Throughout my life, there have been times where I have faced real problems, real obstacles, real tasks that I needed to accomplish, problems that I needed to solve, or situations where people were counting on me to be able to go from point A to point B. And when arriving at point B, things would be done, things would be better. There would be a progress, a solution, a movement from this place where we are to this other place that we want to be. Well, because I'm so FI focused, I actually have been throughout my life much more concerned with whether or not people saw the value that I had to offer. I was more concerned with that than I was with actually offering any value. So in other words, if we move from point A to point B, what I really cared about was when we got to point B, did everybody look at me and go, hey, I'm so glad we had you, because boy, what would we have done without you? I didn't actually care frequently whether or not anything was accomplished in the moving from point A to point B. So if there was a task to be done, I was less concerned with actually doing it in such a way where it produced an effective and desired result. My main concern was just everyone saying, well, you're wonderful. And the result of that, the outcome of that is that sometimes I was able to do an ineffective job. I was able to be ineffective, to not actually accomplish what needed to be accomplished. And yet I figured out a way to do it so that no one realized that I either did not contribute at all to the solution. The solution came because of what other people did, or I was able to trick people into thinking that we had accomplished something when in reality, in the back of my mind, I knew it could have been done better. So like, I'll give you an example. Many years ago, I was responsible for looking at these pieces of paper at my job, and I was supposed to look at them every day and make sure that they were done properly. And for like 25 days, I didn't look at them. I just let them sit in a folder and I didn't look at them. And I knew in the back of my mind, I'm supposed to be doing this. That's extroverted thinking. I'm supposed to be doing this task on a daily basis. But all I really cared about was that everyone think that I was doing an amazing job. And I convinced everyone that I was doing an amazing job, even though I was like willfully neglecting this, what was really an extremely important task. And then like one night I stayed late and went through and reviewed every single one of them. And honestly, at the time, now this is many years ago, I lied and backdated them to the date that I should have been checking them because I was supposed to check and date them every single day. I was much more concerned with people thinking that I was doing an amazing job than I was concerned with actually doing a good job. Now that is savior or hero addiction to the point that I'm completely ignoring my inferior function. Well, let me tell you how I've changed. I've learned some lessons along the way, because what happens is you think that you can get away with that. Like you think you can go through your life just shoving your hero function in everybody's face and saying, nobody will notice how I'm completely neglecting my inferior function if I just keep jamming my hero right in front of them. My hero function will be so big that that's all they'll be able to see, and they'll miss. They won't notice that I completely neglected this other function on the back end. Well, what happened to me was over and over and over the years, people would find that I wasn't actually completing the tasks that I was supposed to complete, or I wasn't completing them as well as I should or in the way that I should. And on those occasions when that happened, what was the result? The result was it diminished in those people's eyes my value. So where I'm going through life saying, wow, I really think I'm valuable and I need to prove it. I need to show everyone else because I want them to see that I'm valuable. I was actually devaluing myself by not doing what I needed to do. And then when I got found out, people were like, yeah, I guess he's fine, but he didn't do his job right. And I was more concerned with what people thought of me than I was actually concerned with doing a good job. Now, I've been working a new job for the last few months, 16 weeks. And I've learned my lessons. Do I want to be valuable to my coworkers and to my customers and to my company? Yes. And is there a part of me that wants people to see me as being valuable? Yeah, but what I really want to do is actually accomplish things. Whether anybody cares, sees, notices, thinks about me at all, that has taken a back seat to the fact that I actually want to do the work right. I want to actually, provide for the customers what it is that they're expecting. I want to do things efficiently, effectively. I want my extroverted thinking to I don't want to say shine, because I'm not looking for like a pat on the back. I want it to shine through in the sense of I want to actually be using it and accomplishing something. All right, so now there are times when I have tasks that I must get done and I want to do them accurately and well. And so sometimes I have to not be that, shiny, happy, I just want everybody to see that to think that I'm great person, because sometimes getting things done and getting them done well means that you have to, tell people hard truths that are going to make them go, man, I don't like that guy. Or sometimes you just have to look at people and say, that's not the right way to do that. You have to do that the right way. Not in a hateful way, not getting mean. See, in my old ways, my TE would build up, and then all of a sudden I'd have a TE explosion of like, no, you need to do it that way, and you need to do this, and you're wrong about, and I was a jerk about it. Now it's more like just being a little more TE every day, a little more extroverted thinking every day, and it's just saying, no, we have to do this way. It's got to be done this way. And maybe for a moment the person will be like, man, that wasn't very nice. I'm not trying to not be nice, but things have to be done, and they have to be done well, and they have to be done correctly. And that's me allowing my inferior extroverted thinking to come out more, even if it means that my hero, the introverted feeling, has to take a little bit of a hit in other people's eyes. And I'm okay with that now, or I'm better with it now than I ever was. So the other day, somebody was talking about me in a job function, and they said, well, you should be getting a swollen head because we're talking good about you in here. And I honestly said, I don't really want people to be complimenting me. Like, those words came out of my mouth. I was like, I don't really want to be complimented. And I didn't really think about it. It just kind of came out. But when I thought about it on my drive home that day, I thought, you know what? That's kind of true. Like, I spent so many years wanting to prove to everyone that I was so wonderful, that whenever they would say anything that was sort of a compliment, I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm proving to everyone that I am as good as I think I am. And now it kind of makes me sick. It's kind of like, there I am. When I get the compliments, I'm just wanting to feed that ego, that introverted feeling ego that thinks probably more highly of itself than it ought to. And there's a part of me that's like, what I really want to do now is get stuff done, extroverted thinking, not be praised and told that I'm amazing, introverted feeling. Now, keep in mind, how is introverted feeling different than extroverted feeling in this sense? Like, that might seem like an extroverted feeling thing, wanting people to tell you that you're great. But extroverted feeling, it's more like it needs the feedback of people to know that it is doing well. With introverted feeling, it's like, I already know that I'm doing well. I already know how good I am. I just want to make sure you know it too. That there's a difference there. Now, what I'm saying here not only can, but will be true of you no matter what type you are. I mean, if you are extroverted sensing as your lead function, right? Then that's going to be such a hero to you that you gather in the physical world that you're going to be kind of incompetent to an extent, at least early on in your life, at being able to then make sense and draw logical conclusions of all of the sensory data that you're taking in. If you have extroverted feeling as your lead function, then you're going to be so concerned in a sense with getting the sort of the I don't know, maybe approval is the right word, validation, the fitting in, the being an emotional, being able to connect emotionally on level with everyone, that you're going to neglect your introverted thinking, like being able to determine for yourself what is actually true. You're going to be perhaps blown about by all of the different emotions of everyone. And somewhere along the line, you've got to stop and ask yourself, but what is actually the truth? If you have extroverted thinking as your lead function, you're going to be, spinning your wheels and exhausting yourself trying to make things work, trying to, force things to work right. But somewhere along the line, you have to ask yourself, introverted feeling, but who am I? And does any of this matter? Do I even care about all of these things that I'm working so hard at to make work. It doesn't matter what your first function is. You will use, until you come to the realization that you're doing this, you will use it to the detriment and at the expense of your inferior function. And this will lead you to be extremely imbalanced in this area. You will be very balanced or relatively balanced in your two middle functions, but you will be way imbalanced with your first and fourth function, so that you actually cause yourself trouble in life because you spend so much time holding your first function in front of everybody's face to say, this is what makes me important. This is solving all my problems. This is why I matter. And then you're constantly shoving down that inferior function. Introverted thinking. You're so concerned, if you have introverted thinking first, it's like you're so concerned with figuring out in your mind this logical, this is what is true. I know what is true. I have decided what is true. But are you connecting with other people in your world? Anyway, you can take that first and fourth function axis, no matter what yours are. And if you'll really step back and you'll ask yourself, am I imbalanced? You will probably see that you are loving that first function and abusing it to the point that you're neglecting the fourth function, and it's causing you trouble, just like it did for me. The trouble that it caused for me is that I didn't actually care all that much about making things actually work in the real world, making them work for other people in the real world, trying to actually solve real problems with real solutions in the real world. What I really cared about was just making everyone think that I was amazing, whether I was actually ever doing anything amazing or not. I even put a Post-it note on my computer at my work now. And I wrote on it something like, you must TE for the good of the group, the people around you, if you're ever going to break your FI addiction, your introverted feeling addiction. So ISFPs, if you're out there, you have got to devote yourself to actually accomplishing real things in the real world, solving real problems, even if at times it causes you to have to tell people the truth that might cause them, at least for a while, to go, man, I don't like that guy as much as I thought I did. And whatever type you are, you have to knock that lead function down a notch and allow that inferior function to rise, so that you can be a more balanced person. That's how you're going to grow in life. Otherwise, it's going to be like, you're going to be like a one-legged duck. You're just going to swim in circles all the time. You're going to constantly be causing yourself the same problems and then constantly try to solve them in the exact same way you've always solved them, which is always just going to lead to more of the exact same problems. Anyway, please leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. I do appreciate you watching this video. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you who have subscribed. If you have not already subscribed, please do that. That would mean the world to me. Also, if you found this video useful in any way, please give it a like. Thank you so much for watching, and have an awesome day. Bye now.